Start. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our fourth public hearing of the Classroom's First Commission. My name is Sheila Simon. I'm the chair of the commission, of an absolutely wonderful commission, I would like to note. We have set up these hearings and said we'd like to get folks to be around the state as much as we can, and you can see by the representation here that we have a lot of participation on the part of our commissioners. I think it's because we are interested in hearing from everyone around the state and learning. We started this commission with two objectives in mind, focusing on making sure that we have opportunity for students and that we're spending our tax dollars in an efficient way. And I think we are very open-minded as to how we can get there. And that open-mindedness carries through to why we are here today. We are interested in listening to you. We do not come with any formed opinion or any kind of one-size-fits-all solution. And we want to hear from you about what your experiences are, what your recommendations are, and that's our mission. So before we get started with testimony, I would like to have the commissioners introduce themselves. Brett, could you start?
Yes, ma'am. Brett Clark, Executive Director, Illinois Association of School Administrators.
Mike Jacoby, Executive Director, Illinois Association of School Business Officials.
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Pfeiffer, and I'm representing the Illinois Association of Regional Superintendents of Schools.
Paul Swanstrom, representing the Illinois High School District Organization.
Representative Chapalavia, the Chair of Elementary and Secondary Ed.
Representative Roger Eddy, 109th District.
State Senator Linda Holmes, 42nd District.
Jimmy Gunnell, President of the Alliance of Special Education Administrators.
Dan Montgomery, President, Illinois Federation of Teachers.
Jonathan Goldman with Parent PAC.
Vicki Nissen, representing suburban school districts.
Mike Johnson, Executive Director Emeritus of the Illinois Association of School Boards.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I think we have at least one member on the phone. Who's that? I think we have a member on the phone.
Anyone on the phone?
We may have a member lurking on the phone who's not very forthcoming about that. But anyway, the testimony will be recorded and will be available for commissioners who are not here and for other members of the public to take advantage of your wisdom. So Crystal has the order of who will be speaking, and we'll start off. Oh, yes, timers. Yes, we have a very high-tech system. Everyone gets 5 minutes, and when you're down to 1 minute, you're going to get the green card here. And when you're down to 0 minutes, you get the red card, and I will stop you, and I will be merciless. So that's the rules of the game, just so that we can hear from everyone. So with that said, Crystal, who is the first person to provide testimony?
Dr. Rita Jacobson.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Dr. Rita Jacobson. I'm the Executive Director of North Page Special Education Cooperative in Bloomingdale, Illinois, and I want to thank you for this opportunity. Lieutenant Governor Simon opened up this way I was going to by reviewing the two goals, educational opportunity and efficient use of tax dollars. And in an effort to achieve these goals, it would appear the Commission is focusing on the structure and organization of school districts. As you continue your deliberations and fact-finding, it would be my recommendation the Commission also include the examination of the structure and organization of special education cooperatives, joint agreements, and intergovernmental agreements to provide special education services to students with disabilities. According to school code, special ed co-ops were developed and established by multiple school districts to provide needed special education facilities, to employ a director and other professional workers for the purpose of providing comprehensive and cost-efficient special education services. Special education co-ops and joint agreements are a prime example of the shared service concept of the Classroom First Commission. Currently, there's approximately 67 special education cooperatives in Illinois. Additionally, there's also a number of intergovernmental agreements in Illinois that also provide special ed services to school districts and special education cooperatives. The structure, enrollment, area, population served, service provided, and fiscal procedures vary greatly among these entities. In addition to the special ed cooperatives and intergovernmental agreements, there are also approximately 63 school districts that are standalone districts. They're not affiliated with the special education cooperative. They employ their own state-approved special education director and administer their own programs and services. Of great concern is a growing trend of school districts withdrawing from their cooperatives. Since July of 2007, 17 school districts have withdrawn from their cooperatives, and 2 special education cooperatives have completely dissolved. It's critical that we determine what is causing this to occur. Special education service delivery entities in the state of Illinois need to be included in the scope of the Classroom First Commission study. A thorough study of the practices, procedures, and structures would potentially result in identifying what are the most efficient and effective procedures, but yet those that do not compromise the integrity of special education programs and services. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, and stay there if you could in case we have questions for you. Any questions? Could you give us your best guess on why some schools are leaving cooperatives?
I spoke with Boyd Ferguson at the Illinois State Board of Education. He's a consultant you would work with in this process. And he said the continuous response he's getting is regarding how the fiscal processes are being handled. Lack of transparency, and the districts, they want to know where their money's going and how it's being spent.
Okay, all right. No other questions?
Yes,
All right.
can I ask one?
Yeah.
You said there were 17, and what was the time period?
Since 2007, in the past 4 years.
Do you, what's been the procedure that has allowed those districts to become standalone and leave the cooperative?
It's a 2-year process, and they have to go and the Illinois State Board of Education, and Boyd does facilitate that process. The district has to prove that they can provide adequate services to their students without the support of the co-op. And it involves a hearing, and the other member districts in the co-op need to agree to it. It's a pretty technical procedure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I just recall several attempts to do it through the General Assembly. We've had
Through the State Advisory Council, they have to get approval from them, Roger.
right. We've had legislation. We've had attempts to do it through legislation as well. They weren't successful, but.
Okay. Yeah. Give it a try. It should be on if you just talk into it.
Okay, good. I did a little bit of math, too. The number of districts, really, when you think about 866 districts in the state, I think there's a big misnomer about how many districts, not how many districts are pulling out, but the percentage is just under 3% when you think of the total number of districts in the state. And I think one of the reasons why districts do pull out is the co-ops are not responsive to their needs, and sometimes they are big enough in themselves that they can provide the continuum of services, so they no longer need the benefit of pooling their resources with other member districts.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Next we have Dr. Kevin O'Mara.
Good afternoon, and thank you. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Simon and Commissioners, for hearing us this afternoon. I am, as the young lady just said, Dr. Kevin O'Mara. I'm the superintendent of Argo Community High School in South Cook. I'm also president of the high school district organization, represented here on the commission by my colleague Paul Swanstrom, and also president of the South Cook regional group there of 66 school districts. We're interested in efficiencies. We absolutely are. We do more with less all the time. The state of Illinois owes us, my district, $900,000 as I stand here this afternoon. As the commission considers ways to make student learning more efficient, I'd like to speak on behalf of the many citizens in Illinois who value local control and local values as much as or more than they do perceived efficiencies. The notion that a community can have a school that reflects what the parents and community members feel are important values is a long and well-established tradition in the United States, going back to when Thomas Jefferson created townships throughout Virginia solely for this purpose. Our founding fathers were extremely concerned that large bureaucracy would sweep in and impose their will on the communities they purport to serve. School consolidation has been happening in Illinois for a long time without much interference from the state of Illinois. In 1942, there were over 12,000 school districts. I'm sure you know all these numbers. There were 4,480 in 1950, and in 1963, 1,433, and around 1,870. The citizens have decreased the number of school districts in Illinois by 97% without any help from the General Assembly, and this process is continuing naturally. This is a problem of perceptions more than a problem of efficiencies. Please allow the local citizenry to continue to elect their local, unpaid school board members to educate their own children. As the state of Illinois moves ever closer to the precipice of insolvency, our locally run and valued school districts continue to run fiscally and educationally efficiently. We don't need the state of Illinois to tell us how to become more fiscally efficient. The state of Illinois is hardly the poster child of fiscal well-being. We at the local level value our children and our ability to help them learn. As the state has cut our funding, missing payments due, and reducing various mandated categoricals, we've had to become more efficient. Please allow us to do our job. I really thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions?
Thanks, Greg.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you for your comments. I'm curious, is there a role that the state can play in terms of helping you do your job at the local level? Are there resources that, and perhaps obviously paying the bills on time would help, but are there other resources that could be put together centrally that could assist the local school districts in achieving efficiencies or doing that kind of stuff?
Absolutely. One of those, the most important one right now that's on the table, is this Regional Office of Education morass that we find ourselves in. And they help us. They help school districts do background checks, criminally mandated background checks. They help us make sure that our teachers are certified to teach our school children and so forth. Does that mean something to me? Is that...
Sorry, no, that wasn't
okay.
a signal.
I feel like I'm at a Brazilian steakhouse with the tags and everything, so I wasn't sure if I was supposed to order or what. I knew about the thing. I didn't know about the sound. All right. Okay. Yes, the state has helped us. The State Board of Education is a good ally with us to help us with our school children. The efficiencies that we find ourselves working with our special ed co-ops especially. I work with Jimmy Ginnell on a daily basis. He helps us help our kids. Those are the kinds of things we need help with.
Okay. Yeah.
So Kevin, and others as you speak, the issue of efficiency is critical. And those of us who have been superintendents and who are superintendents often take what we do in an efficient manner for granted. As one member of the commission, if you have the opportunity, this might kind of spur the moment for you, but when you address the commission, if you could make sure that we understand some of the efficiencies and some of the procedures that you have in place that to make sure the commission is aware of that and part of the record, we appreciate that.
Sure. The biggest one, of course, is our membership in the Aero Special Ed Cooperative, where we share personnel, people like mandated social work services, mandated school psychology services, mandated and required and necessary alternative schools for students who find themselves in a non-special ed setting who've broken school rules. Those are the kinds of things we elect to share and be efficient on. And it's a matter of scale, too. You don't want to get that efficiency so blown out of proportion that no one's minding the store. As long as the local values are reflected and we're able to pay the bills, with or without sometimes the state's help, we're happy to be efficient. We want to be efficient. We don't want to cut staff in our district. No superintendent and no school board member wants to do that. So efficiency is very, very important. We've been compelled to be efficient for a long, long time here. So those are the kinds of things that we do on a day-to-day basis, and we partner with other school districts in our area to do those kinds of things often and on a continual basis.
How many students do you have in your district?
Just under 2,000.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Thanks very much for your time. Thank you.
Dr. Gwen Kell.
Hello, thank you for this opportunity to address you. I'm actually here on behalf of the 4 school districts. Myself, Winfield School District 34, and the superintendent, Benjamin School District 25, West Chicago School District 33, and our Community High School District 94 that we feed into. 3 consolidation studies have been conducted with our 4 districts since 1996. The most recent one was conducted in 2009, actually, was when I was coming on board. Each of these 3 studies concluded that consolidation among our districts was not a recommendation. Further, the March 2009 conclusions, which the study was headed by Dr. Bill Phillips of the University of Illinois in Springfield, included that there was growth of achievement in all of the districts, and it was high, strong fund balances, buildings are well maintained, student enrollment projections do not indicate a need for consolidation, districts exhibit ongoing cooperative nature, meeting to assure that student standards are monitored and maintained as equally as possible, and the overall recommendation of the study is that no changes be made to the existing school district systems at this time. We also concur with the recent research findings, including the February 2011 National Education Policy Center's brief entitled Consolidation of Schools and Districts, What the Research Say and Means, which came out of Ohio University, and the March 2011 Center of the Study of Education Policy out of Illinois State, which was entitled Illinois Public School District Consolidation, a Tiered Approach, both highlighting the benefits of smaller versus larger districts and raising some serious questions about larger districts as well. Our unique collaborative nature by which our 4 districts operate needs to be recognized as a model of effectiveness and efficiency. We conduct annual joint school boards meetings. We have an ongoing joint school boards task force which addresses agreed upon initiatives. We have a joint school district anti-bullying task force with representatives of students and parents. We do joint district bidding and purchases, including paper bidding, custodial services, supplies, and transportation. We have a joint district transition activities committee, which includes members of our student councils for our 8th graders transitioning into the high school. We do joint professional development. Our business managers meet monthly, our tech coordinators meet monthly, our superintendents meet monthly, and our principals meet monthly. We recognize the need for a commission such as yours to do this important investigatory work. However, our concerns are twofold. Is the commission a guise for a mandate from the governor that is ultimately going to happen anyway? And second, what is the state's true impetus behind this movement to consolidate districts? We hear that it is a cost-saving measure, which may be true for some districts, but certainly is not for all. If our communities value their local autonomy and support the administrative costs of having, in our case, 4 superintendents, 2 part-time and 2 full-time business managers, law firms, collective bargaining agreements, and other various expenses, while demonstrating financially sound practices and ongoing growth in student performance, then what is the cost or perceived savings to the state that we don't recognize? The 4-tiered summary should be reviewed thoughtfully because it addresses immediate needs, including Tier 1 sustained academic and financial difficulty of 30 districts that were already identified. 60 districts fell into the Tier 2 medium and small districts in financial difficulty. 40 districts fell into Tier 3 dual districts in academic and or financial difficulty. And then Tier 4, which are districts with no academic or financial difficulties, and the findings were they should not be subject to state scrutiny regarding consolidations or dissolution. Such decisions would remain local. This tier could provide valuable information regarding effective educational and financial practices. Thank you for your consideration and for the testimony and references. Thank you.
Thank you. Don't leave. We might have questions for you. Yep.
Difficult. Thank you for your testimony. Do you have the numbers on the population of the children in 34, 25, 33, and 94 districts?
I can give you approximates. My district, Winfield, is about 371. Benjamin is around 800 or just a little over 800. The high school is around 2,000. That's District 94. And West Chicago District 33, I believe, is around 3,000, somewhere in that area.
Wow. And then also, you had mentioned a lot of joint ventures that you do with the other three districts, but you didn't mention transportation, an energy co-op, or fuel purchasing.
Yes.
Do you do all that also?
They did a joint bidding on transportation. Our district doesn't use transportation. We have parents, so we don't have busing, but they did a joint bidding on transportation this year. And they went in on a joint energy, I can't remember which company is doing the energy thing, but our district was too small to participate in that.
Okay,
so.
but all four of these districts all have their own superintendents and their own school board members.
Yes,
right?
correct.
Do you have any documentation of those dollars as far as salaries and things like that?
Not with me.
Okay.
No.
I'm just curious because we need to get a whole snapshot of the whole picture of what we're looking at. And I want to commend you on the co-oping that you are doing. You're right. You can be a role model for a lot more districts in the state. Thank you.
Other questions? Let me just point out the two references that you cited are both on our website. We've got a good website, so if anyone's interested in more information, you can find both those sources there and others. And then in response to the question of are we a guise for a secret plan, and the answer is no. I don't think any of us would be here if we thought we were in that position. So we are here to honestly listen with open minds and work in the best interest of what you're working in as well. So we appreciate your commentary. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Michael Connolly.
Good afternoon. Lieutenant Governor Simon and the esteemed members of the Classroom First Commission. My name is Dr. Michael Connolly, and I serve as the superintendent of Keeneyville Elementary School District 20 in DuPage County, serving portions of the communities of Hanover Park, Roselle, Bloomingdale, and Keeneyville. Keeneyville District 20 is an economically and ethnically diverse pre-K to 8th grade elementary district with a current enrollment of 1,619 students, organized in 2 neighborhood elementary schools and 1 middle school. According to our 2011 district report card, 82.7% of our students across the district met or exceeded state standards in reading, and 87.5% met or exceeded state standards in mathematics last year. Our school district, as with many school districts in the state of Illinois, faces dwindling local, state, and federal resources, yet has achieved the highest level of financial recognition from the state of Illinois for the last 5 years. The Board of Education and District Administration is committed to the responsible and effective stewardship of local, state, and federal resources. The Board of Education recognizes that their greatest responsibility is to be accountable to parents, community members, and taxpayers of the district as they utilize resources thoughtfully to ensure a great educational experience for all students. We have a strong professional staff that works tirelessly to provide that experience. I should note that professional staff has also agreed to 2 years of salary freezes, step freezes, lane freezes, hard freeze the whole way over the last 2 years. That is the level of their commitment. As superintendent of a school district that is considered medium size in the state of Illinois, I have studied with interest the topic of school consolidation. I've reviewed much of the available research on the subject and have engaged in conversations with legislators, board members, colleagues, employees, parents, community members, and fellow taxpayers. The research has been informational and the conversation is enlightening. My view, therefore, is this. The concept of school consolidation is not on its face a bad idea. Indeed, for some school districts across the state of Illinois, the time for consolidation may have come. The research, particularly those studies conducted by the Center for the Study of Educational Policy at Illinois State University and the National Education Policy Center, dated March 2011 and February 2011, respectively, established that in certain circumstances, particularly in those districts with small numbers of students, consolidations may be a viable option. The research is also clear that a critical eye must be paid to the claims that a program of forced school consolidation in and of itself will reduce costs, improve services, or ultimately improve student achievement. Indeed, the research conducted by Illinois State points to increases in capital costs when consolidating districts with 1,500 or more students, and notes that the larger the school district becomes, the more resources ended up being devoted to secondary non-essential activities. They also note that while some costs may be reduced in the short term after consolidation, expenditures ultimately increase as additional layers of administrative, supervisory, and specialized staff are added to new, larger districts. As the early conversations stemming from the legislative proposals during the past spring session of the General Assembly often focused on economies of scale and cost savings of consolidation, it is vital that some of the real potential for cost increases, such as increased transportation costs, mid-level and administrative costs, and the potential for new and higher teacher salary schedules due to current differences between elementary and high school district salary schedules, be considered as part of the Commission's work. The Commission must also consider the potential for increased local property tax rates as a result of consolidation. The application of a unit district tax rate, for example, and the varied bond obligations of individual districts being combined are just two ways that local tax rates could actually go up from a consolidated or unified school district being created. The Commission must study these issues and take them into account in any subsequent legislative recommendations or proposals that may emerge. Beyond the economic, it is also vitally important to critically analyze the educational impact of consolidation. Again, as the research out of ISU has illustrated, student achievement in smaller schools is equal or better to that of students in large schools. For low-income students, of which 45% of the students in my district are, as district size increases, student achievement decreases. A smaller school setting lends itself to that ability to form relationships and to actively and quickly respond to student needs. I'll close by stating that the history of local control in Illinois is well established and should be respected. The local school boards are elected by their communities to be responsible stewards of resources, and they should be given the opportunity to engage in a process of review as to whether or not consolidation is right for their district, for their areas, and for the taxpayers, students, and families that they serve. Illinois has a long history of, particularly in the districts in the suburban areas, a long history of banding together to find efficiencies. Special education cooperatives, technical education cooperatives, employee benefit cooperatives, energy transportation cooperatives. There are all those options out there. We should be looking at those. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? No? All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Sandra Dobert.
Good afternoon, Lieutenant Governor Simon and the rest of the Commission members. I speak to you today as Superintendent of Lamont High School District 210 and a 25-year resident of Lamont. I appreciate the opportunity that you've afforded me and the others to contribute to the discussion of financial efficiencies, realignment, and consolidation for school districts. I share your desire for school districts to consider all options to be fiscally efficient. When I became superintendent 10 years ago, I investigated the possibility of consolidating Lamont High School District 210 and Lamont-Brun-Berra Combined School District 113A. At first glance, it seemed a logical option. However, my research proved otherwise. Just the cost of aligning salaries between the grade school and high school faculties alone was more than over $1 million annually. The grade school and high school districts are not coterminous, as suggested or required by the Illinois School Code. This is further complicated by the fact that the property within District 210's boundaries is not within the grade school's boundaries is Argonne National Laboratories, which is a federal property. And as a result, it generates hundreds of thousands of dollars to those districts within the Argonne property because of federal impact aid. This is federal funding that offsets the loss of tax revenue because federal properties don't pay property taxes. District 210 and grade school districts in two neighboring communities all benefit significantly from this federal funding. Becoming coterminous with District 113A would result in either District 210 or the grade school districts in the other communities losing that federal funding, just to allow District 113A and District 210 to cover the same property. That would be fiscally irresponsible on any district's part. Reorganizing all three grade schools and the high school district into a unit district would
also cause financial difficulty. Any combination of the consolidation of these grade schools with Lamont High School would result in increased costs, whether it be in transportation or personnel, and a potential decrease in federal funding. I repeated my consolidation study again 2 years ago in light of changes in the school code and Lamont's growth. The results were the same. I sent a copy to the Illinois State Board of Education and asked its staff to confirm that my interpretation of the school code was correct, and I did receive that confirmation. I have provided all of you, along with my testimony, a study, my study that indicates the negative implications for consolidation in one Illinois community. I do agree with you that there is an ongoing and increasing need to improve efficiency, both within and between school districts and other districts. I am proud to offer as example the numerous strides made in these areas by Lamont High School District 210. Among other improvements are increased class sizes, fewer sections of many courses, the accommodation of all driver's ed students within the school year, and the discontinuation of summer school driver's ed. Centralizing purchasing of textbooks and the sale of used textbooks to receive rebates. The investigation of online alternatives to textbooks because they're extremely costly. The implementation of energy conservation plans, the renegotiation of our utility purchase and other contractual services, the utilization of small activity buses to reduce transportation costs, the elimination of mass mailings through increased electronic communication with our parents, and reduce professional development costs by providing those opportunities in-house. Efficiency between districts is also important. We provide a math class for high-performing 8th graders, for which we share transportation costs with the grade school district. An intergovernmental agreement with our park district allows us to use their indoor swimming pool for our physical education classes and our competitive swimming programs, and allows the park district to use our performing arts center for their dance programs. Internship programs offered to our students allow them to participate in vocational or professional services, as well as providing important services to our grade schools, such as teacher aides. I have a variety of other services that you'll find provided in your testimony, written testimony that I've given, but let me quickly summarize, since I received the green card, by telling you that Lamont High School's administration and Board of Education understand the need to be financially efficient, as well as our responsibility to meet students' academic needs. We take those responsibilities seriously. From firsthand experience, I can say that realignment does not always translate into cost savings. Each school district should determine whether reorganization or sharing services is in its best interest. I commend you for listening to our voices and appreciate the work that you clearly have already done on this topic. Each of the state's districts is unique. Please know that superintendents and boards of education understand their responsibility to seek financial efficiencies and recognize the state's difficult economic times. Consolidation is not the simple answer some may believe it to be, and certainly is not the financial or educational solution that's been suggested. Thank you for consideration of my comments and the voices of today's people speaking.
Thank you. Any questions? Jonathan?
You listed off a really impressive list of all the different sort of sharing cooperative opportunities that you're doing. I'm just curious, as those were put in place, were those things that you sort of had to figure out as you went along? Were there models that you were able to look to that other districts had done, or some type of resources that you were able to tap into to help you achieve those?
It came from a variety of sources. Internal sources, organizations like the Illinois Association of School Business Officials, the Illinois Association of School Administrators. They all provide professional development programs as well as publications that allow us to look at the ideas that come from experts as well as from our peers throughout the state. In addition, the business managers bring their own sense of how to do that. My last business manager, and as well as one of my current interim business managers, comes from the field of business, and so they bring those cost efficiency ideas. And frankly, in this process, we sat down with our faculty and staff and asked them for ideas. The idea to save $30,000 in summer school driver's ed costs came from my driver's ed teacher. So,
okay. Yes.
I'm interested, you did the study 10 years ago, and then you did it again 2 years ago.
Correct.
What motivated you to do it again?
Two reasons. I knew that the state code had some changes in the consolidation processes that were available. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any new process that somehow would alter the particular need with regard to the federal property. And also, there's been a lot of changes in Lamont. It's an extremely growing community. So I wanted to ensure that those changes in terms of population and school growth, particularly in the grade school, would not change the end result. Consolidation in a single community like Lamont is an ongoing conversation. It was a conversation that started shortly after I became superintendent, and I suspect probably was along the way discussed prior to that. Certainly in recent times, with some of the concerns that have been raised about financial efficiencies in relationship to our grade school in particular, that's been a serious conversation. And I think you'd be surprised to find very many community members that have not heard the same information that I just provided to you. And we have made this particular consolidation study very available to the entire community for transparency's sake.
On that study 2 years back, when you looked at the cost that would likely be incurred for balancing the districts that would come together as a consolidated unit, do you have any projection on what that increased cost would have been on the salaries and benefits?
Well, the $1 million plus that I described was only faculty salaries. Once I saw that, I did not study further to look at what the cost might also be in relationship to non-certified costs or benefit alignment costs. I'm sure it would be even more than the $1+ million that I discovered just in faculty.
So $1 million in increased cost, there'd be some savings in administration, but there'd be a net increase in cost. Is that correct?
Certainly. And we would also need to take into account that, again, in small systems like ours, there's a superintendent. There are no assistant superintendents in my district. In the grade school district, there's one assistant superintendent. My understanding from the research that I've looked at is typically when you would move into a unit district circumstance like that with one superintendent between the two levels, you'd end up hiring someone to oversee the high school level, their curriculum needs, that sort of thing, which I serve as now. And so while you would save a superintendent's salary, you would likely not save the whole salary once, obviously, you have to hire some additional building district level administration to oversee the high school. Sure.
Okay, thanks very much.
Dr. Joanne Desmond.
Thank you very much for allowing us this opportunity. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Simon and the Commission. I'd like to introduce myself. I am a part-time superintendent of a very small district, Bannockburn School District 106. But I'd like to start my comments by going back in time when I was a superintendent of North Shore School District 112 in Highland Park and Highwood, the first superintendent after a 3-district consolidation. That's what I'd like to talk a little bit about first, because we talk about the efficiencies. In this particular example, the consolidation was a voted consolidation by the 3 communities, although all the communities did not support it at the time. One of the school districts, former District 111, had some huge financial issues, and the other 2 school districts were well financially stated. The consolidation, as acrimonious as it was, turned out to be good for students. So I'm going to say that consolidation in some cases is very, very good. I will also state, though, that the consolidation cost the taxpayers a lot of money. And that's something that is difficult to, understand when you think of 3 smaller districts merging into one large district of 11, 12 schools, 11 at the time, 12 now. But what happened, of course, was that what many people have mentioned today is that all of the salaries had to be equalized. So you're talking about some teachers receiving 30% increases. You did save the money of 2 superintendents and 2 assistants, but additional administrative staff had to be hired to meet all the curriculum needs across the district for student services and special needs. The facilities were very disparate across the district, and of course, in a consolidated district, everyone expected that now things would be fairly similar. So we did have to go out 2 years after consolidation and pass a $40 million referendum to work on facilities across the district. After 7 years in the district, at which point I retired in 2002, 7 years of working to build a unified school district, there were still many, many issues that were unresolved. But I do believe in that case because the people in that community, the majority of the people supported that they worked hard to make it work. And it was their will that made it work. And so if you look at what was best for children, this was best for children because they all fed into the same high school, and now they received a comparable level of education. So, but I will tell you that it was not about saving money because it cost a lot of money. Now, I'm now in Bannockburn, which is an adjacent district, actually feeding into the same high school. I've been here 10 years in Bannockburn School District, and it is a very small school. We have fewer than 200 students. We feed into District 113, Deerfield High School. Our community is not interested in consolidation with the neighboring districts. In this case, there are disincentives to consolidation. Disincentives being that our tax rates for all of our taxpayers would increase because the neighboring tax rate is higher than ours. Our students excel in every area. Our parents value the low class sizes they can get, the active involvement in their school. They would lose the community school that they have come to value as an important part of their community, as well as the local control over their school. Our students do extremely well at Deerfield High School, even entering a larger school. Our finances are very, very solid, and I believe that in this case, the community does not support it. They have said that they do not support consolidation. But what I'm here to say basically is about local control and allowing each community to determine what's in their community's best interest. And they do look at the needs of their students as well as the cost to all the taxpayers. And as I said, in North Shore District 112, even though it cost the taxpayers money to have that consolidation, they believed it was in the best interest of children, and they voted for it, and they supported it. In Bannockburn School District 106, consolidation would not be in the best interest of their students. There was no advantage for them, and it would be a disincentive for the local taxpayers to consider consolidation. Thank you. That's all I have to say. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Thanks very much.
Jenny Wojcik.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Simon and Commission, for the opportunity to speak to the Commission. This is a topic that has a great deal of interest and passion, as I am Superintendent of Rondout School District 72, which is a very small district and has a very strong tax base, and we are often looked to as one of the districts that is used when comparing districts and the disparity in funding. So I put that out there right from the beginning so you know where I'm coming from, trying to be transparent. So I'm going to approach this a little bit differently because we are a very efficiently run school district. We have 161 students. There is one superintendent, one assistant principal, no other administrators. And we have managed to run an efficient and effective school program. What I'm here to say today is I'm hoping that the Commission will have the foresight to think out of the box, to think about the fact that right now public education is at a crossroads in Illinois, not just in Illinois, but across the nation. I've been working in schools for nearly 40 years. I've worked in 6 school districts of varying sizes, serving various socioeconomic groups, and I can say without a doubt that this is one of the most troubling times for public education that I've experienced as a teacher, administrator, and monitor of public policy. The current crisis in our state in education is due to a convergence of complex and interconnected factors. The simplistic solution of forced consolidation does not really offer a viable option for change, but does in effect have the potential to draw us deeper into the abyss of bureaucratic inefficiency and inadequate opportunities to meet the needs of students, teachers, and communities in our state. And you've heard from numerous folks about the additional costs and the other factors that would impact communities negatively. The charge of your commission is critical to both our future short and long term. Within these challenges, though, lie enormous opportunities for us to really make a leap to true transformation of our public schools and going beyond models that rely on more of the same or variations on a theme. I'm going to lay the foundation for a proposal that I'm putting out here called the Innovation School Network that could create a niche solution that might help in this overall transformation for change. I want to tell you a little bit about Rondout and how we have used our size, our small size, our mission of supporting not only the growth of the students in our community, but the larger professional community, having a reliable and sustainable resource base, which has allowed us to meet the state mandates and provide a consistent quality education for students, as well as a supportive community. When I became superintendent 7 years ago, one of my first challenges and one of my first goals that was given to me by the Board of Education was to explore the opportunities for consolidation and what that would mean. And I came with an open mind and also a very strong interest in the research. And at that time and continually throughout these last 7 years, we have continued to explore whether or not that would be a feasible option for us. The community rejected that idea. They love their independence. They've been fiercely independent. We've been around since 1864. We've served kids for 150 years almost. And from that start with 60 farm families, we now serve more than 100, but we have maintained our independence and our identity. So, local control, so important, as I said. We have already employed many efficiencies that have been discussed today: healthcare and energy cooperatives, special ed cooperatives, shared purchasing agreements, intergovernmental collaboration. I'm here to offer an insight into the valuable role that effective small schools can play in supporting the ultimate transformative vehicle to address the crisis. Many here today are from districts that are not broken. They manage their finances, they provide outstanding programs, and are valuable assets to their communities. Our current revenue source is derived from 95% from local property taxes, 67% of which come from business and industry in the area. And we have the second lowest tax rate, education tax rate in Lake County. So for our folks, consolidation would mean an increase in taxes. We have developed a strong and reliable set of programs. We've become an incubator for innovation and change. Time does not permit me to provide all the details. We develop a strong and valid and reliable assessment framework with a growth model that could be utilized to adjust the new legislative requirements for accountability within the teacher evaluation requirements. We've developed alternative systems for delivering instruction. We've also created a program called The Village. And The Village is a living social studies program which has turned the school into a town. It's run by the students. There are 9 departments that mirror what's in a community: finance, cultural arts, public works, public safety, health and nutrition, historical society, communication, service, parks and recreation. Real life experiences, helping kids learn job skills, civic leadership, and I'm done.
Nice wrap up. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, and you have some written testimony there. Let me use this opportunity for anyone who's giving testimony and you have something in writing. We would love to get a copy of it so we can share it with everyone. Thank you.
James McNellis.
Lieutenant Governor Simon, Commissioner members, thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is a thankless task you're tackling, so thank you for doing it. I am Jim McNellis, Board President in Skokie School District 73.5, so I have some quick demographics to share with you. First, the Village of Skokie has approximately 64,000 residents. Our district is one of 5 different K-8 school districts within Skokie. Our district is classified as medium-sized. We have approximately 1,100 K-8 students in 3 separate schools: a preschool, kindergarten school, an elementary school, and a middle school. We are a very diverse, multi-ethnic community where over 50 languages from across the world are spoken in our homes. Every school day in our neighborhood, kids wake up, get dressed, grab their books, folders, and backpacks, and come bounding into our schools in Skokie District 73.5. The students' families entrust the care, well-being, and education of their children with the good and dedicated people who work in our schools. As you probably already know, the #1 job of the school board is to maintain that trust and continually ensure that our district's mission matches the goals of our community. The North Suburban Cook County area, Skokie in particular, has often been mentioned as a poster child for consolidation. But we also think we are poster children for quality education and well-run schools. We do a pretty good job of educating our children. Our test scores reflect that. We also do a pretty good job of watching our bottom line. Our healthy balance sheet and financial ratings also reflect that. We are not and have never been opposed to consolidation, but we do feel strongly that any acceptable consolidation plan must focus especially on three things: enhance the district's educational mission and not detract from it, balance potential cost savings and taxpayer equity, and maintain local control. One of the primary justifications for school district consolidation is purported cost savings through eliminating duplicated administrative functions and gaining economies of scale in purchasing services and supplies. As we've already heard from today, there's evidence that consolidation actually increases administrative headcount, transportation costs, and negotiated teacher wage rates. District 73.5 and other Niles Township districts have already achieved some expenditure side consolidation through participation in shared services and purchasing pools for insurance, energy and fuel, substitute teachers, technology services and software, office supplies, various legal services, and we are members of a special education cooperative. I've got a full list attached to my written testimony. Any proposed consolidation plan must look closely at whether further cost savings above and beyond what has already been achieved is realistic and incorporates appropriate changes so that compensation packages are fair to both school employees and taxpayers. It should also overcome the contractual and operational complexities of bringing some non-union classes of employees together with unionized ones. Finally, an acceptable plan must reinvest any savings and synergies into education and not take it out of the system altogether. Another off-site justification for a school consolidation is tax fairness. District 73.5 historically has had the highest property tax rate among school districts in our region, yet we're perpetually at the bottom of the revenue per pupil scale. This is because we are a bedroom community with a negligible industrial or commercial tax base, and the majority of financial support for our schools falls on our residents. Other local districts with larger and more diverse tax bases do not face the same funding challenges as we do, and have the distinct advantage of keeping tax rates lower while accessing higher tax revenue. Again, current practice dictates that consolidating districts pick up the higher tax rates. This makes district consolidation unattractive or unfair for consolidating districts. Any acceptable plan must take this taxing inequity into account, and the law must be changed so that those with lower tax rates are not discouraged from and penalized by consolidation. Alternatively, school funding laws should be altered to introduce the concept of revenue sharing within village or township boundaries in order to rectify school tax revenue inequities. A possible gain from larger school districts also is the ability to provide broader programming, in particular more extracurricular activities, such as sports, theater, and music. But for districts like 73.5, which have developed strong and nationally recognized programs in the arts and sciences, there's a potential for dilution and weakening, as programs that were high priority for a small group became a low priority for a bigger group. So in summary, let me go back to the beginning. Our district does a pretty good job of educating our children, and we do a pretty good job of watching our bottom line. Consolidation may help us marginally with both of these, but current policy barriers and hurdles would make it a long and difficult road before we ever saw the benefits. If I could give you our number one request, it's to have more creative ideas for sharing tax revenue among schools within village or township boundaries. Thank you for your time and for your service, and most especially thank you for caring about the future of our children.
Thank you. Any questions? Yeah.
Could you share some additional information about the revenue sharing concepts? I think toward the end you limited it.
Right.
Within village
within
or
a village,
township
right.
boundaries, but
Sure.
the boundaries of the districts don't necessarily follow those same boundaries?
That's correct. I don't know exactly how it would work. There would have to be a lot of talk about how it would work, but basically it would attack the problem of us having a high tax rate, and right next door to us there's a low tax rate. And there's other districts immediately around us that have the same problems, and we've all gotten together and talked about how do we solve this. Consolidation isn't necessarily the answer, but how do we share the revenue where you've got high revenue over there and we don't?
Yeah, but the actual taxes someone pays may not be that different because the assessment could be different. The rate doesn't mean as much as what the tax bill does. So at the end of the day, I would be interested if you had specific ideas, because that whole idea of equity and property wealth is one that we've bandied about a lot in the state. But you're talking about applying it to a smaller area. So thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions? All right. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Mary Ellen Mendel.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the Classroom First Commission. My name is Mary Ellen Meindl, and I am the president of the Riverside District Board of Education. I'm privileged here to testify on behalf of my school district. District 96 is located in suburban Cook County and is comprised of Riverside, parts of North Riverside, Brookfield, and Lyons. We are a K-8 district with 4 community-based grade schools and 1 junior high. Our student enrollment is currently at 1573 and is trending up. For the 6th consecutive year, our district has received the highest financial rating by the ISBE. This has been accomplished with the predominant financial support provided by our community, where 98% of our education funding comes from local property taxes and other revenue sources. Strong district fund balances and current low interest rates have provided us with the perfect opportunity to make long overdue infrastructure and safety improvements on our 5 buildings during the next 2 summers. The oldest of our schools was constructed in 1897. With strong fiscal stewardship and the support of our local community, District 96 is looking forward to completion to ensure our school buildings can continue to house an exceptional education program for the next 40 years. Academically, the 1011 ISBE district report card included record-setting District 96 achievement. With changing demographics, our overall ISET performance shows 94.5% of our students met or exceeded state learning standards. Our operating expense per pupil in 1011 is $11,753, just 1.8% higher than the state average. Our district made AYP. Our district was one of the 59 Illinois elementary unit school districts to earn the School Search 2011 Bright Red Apple Award for Educational Excellence. Our students participated in a one-to-one Apple laptop program for educational use to integrate technology into the classroom and foster 21st century learning. Counter to trends of increased mid-level administrative positions, District 96 combined the services of our superintendent, business manager, and human relation functions into one role. Further, we have found it to be more effective and, more importantly, in the best interest of our students to join the LADSI, which is the Special Education Cooperative in LaGrange. I believe it's important to share this information with you to demonstrate there are school districts that offer robust educational programs, operate efficiently with a lean administrative team, and demonstrate outstanding fiscal responsibility. Yes, while we are relatively a small district, we provide our students and our community with top-performing public school system that would otherwise be disrupted if forced consolidation or one-size-fits-all solutions were implemented. We understand that forced consolidation is no longer the explicit goal here, but I would be remiss not to state our community's concern over potential mandated changes that turn back the achievements we have worked so hard for, as well as goals that we are still working to achieve. If you ask any realtor in the real estate in the Riverside area what brings new families to our community, they will say our top quality schools. As you proceed with your review and before you develop recommendations, I would like to invite the Commission into our community and school district in order to see firsthand what administrators, teachers, parents, and our community members are doing to give our 1,573 students the best educational experience possible. Excuse me. On behalf of the District 96 community, I would urge you to carefully consider the recommendations of this commission, the potential impact it could have on the academic achievements and fiscal strength of certain school districts, like Riverside District 96. Thank you for your leadership on this matter and for giving me the opportunity to address this commission. Two quick points. We have no transportation in our school district because we're all in a small geographical area. If we were to merge with the unit school district, we would need to offer transportation, which are costs that we don't have to deal with right now. And our superintendent did a diagram of if we merged, we had to bring our K-8 teachers up to the grades or the high school salaries, and it would be at a cost of $2.4 million. So in our case, it would be increased costs without what we feel is the benefit.
Okay. Any questions? Yes.
You indicated that potentially consolidation could impact the student achievement of your students. Is that because you'd be consolidating with other students who aren't achieving at the same levels, or is it because you have less resources, or what are you pointing at in terms of loss of achievement as relationship to consolidation?
It's my understanding that when you that if you become a unit school district, the focus turns more onto the high school than it does to the K-8, and that's where we've been able to focus our efforts. We're in a pocket where it's a very diverse community all around us, and we've been able to do what we've done in our school district for our students. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Bobbin Graffia.
Lieutenant Governor Simon and members of the Commission, my name is Bob Ingraffia. I'm the Executive Director of the North Cook Intermediate Service Center, Regional Office of Education Number 5. During another of your hearings, the Commission was made aware of the duties regional offices have regarding school district consolidation issues. On July 1, 2010, Public Act 96-893 abolished the Suburban Cook County Regional Office of Education and transferred all of its duties to the 3 existing intermediate service centers in suburban Cook County. Although there are no elected regional superintendents in this area, there are 3 fully functioning regional offices that serve suburban Cook County. The Public Act gave these 3 agencies all of the duties and responsibilities of a regional office. As you formulate recommendations on various issues, please keep in mind that suburban Cook County does have regional offices that can perform any of the responsibilities that have already been given or are to be given, perhaps in the future, to the other 44.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Bob, those regional offices, are they funded in the same, or the ISCs funded in the same line item?
There is money in the same line, 3 line items, yes.
So the line items that were zeroed out were what funded your offices?
They do have an effect on our offices. They do not have a direct effect on my salary as they do on the regional superintendents and their assistants, but they will make the difference between my office, for example, having a very small deficit of approximately $40,000 for this fiscal year, and having a bigger deficit that could be somewhere between $200,000 to $300,000.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Amy Croup.
Good afternoon, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share with you information regarding Niles Elementary School District 71 as it relates to consolidation for our Illinois schools. I'm Amy Croup, superintendent of a 1-building school district in North Cook County. As superintendent, I serve as business manager, curriculum director, HR, dean, traffic guard, or whatever is needed to be done on that particular day. We serve fewer than 500 students who are very diverse in both cultural backgrounds as well as their socioeconomic status. 37.6% of our students are low income per the school report card from 2011. We also have the lowest tax rate in Niles Township area, which is a benefit for our community members. As of 2012, we will be debt-free while maintaining our low tax rate. As stated earlier, we are rich in our diverse ethnic background and varied socioeconomic status. 90.4% of our students exceeded or met on the ISAT during the 2010-2011 school year. This rate also included our students with disabilities. Our size has allowed our students to be successful. Our team of 3 administrators and talented faculty intimately know our families, our students, and the community.
This allows us to focus on our strategies for learning based upon our students and their individual needs. While this happens in large school districts, there's much research regarding the success of smaller schools. This has been well demonstrated in the academic achievement of our students. Given that our size is small and our district office is limited, we must look towards financial strategies to keep a balanced budget. Our district participates in many cooperatives across the state that continue to give us cost-effective ways to provide services. These cooperatives, both formally and informally, include insurance, medical, liability insurance, food purchases, and transportation. We additionally have an intergovernmental agreement with our local park district, which reduces our cost for both agencies by sharing building and land usage while providing shared maintenance services as needed. Over the last 5 years, I have continued to accept offers to review the cost of insurance, food service, and other vendors attempting to secure the business of our district. The vendors have yet to be able to beat the prices that cooperatives have been able to provide. Our school district has also looked for additional ways to reduce costs while providing appropriate services to our students with special education needs. Currently, we work with other districts to provide our services to our early childhood students and continue to discuss the possibility of providing services to other district students, district special ed students as appropriate. This would include sharing personnel. We additionally belong to the Niles Township District for Special Education, who recently relooked at their funding formula to allow districts to reduce costs as necessary while providing options for our students with significant disabilities who may not be able to be served within their home school. These kind of cost reviewing activities were occurring long before the economy and state financial concerns have been in front of us and will continue long after these financial times pass. It is concerning for our taxpayers and the families of the Niles community that a forced consolidation would occur. As stated above, our school district has the lowest tax rate of any school district surrounding us. We will be debt-free by 2012 and have proven to provide outstanding educational services to our students while maintaining a balanced budget. The topic of forced consolidation with a neighboring school system would likely increase the tax rate and debt of our district. While it seems more cost-effective to combine districts, administrative staff, and other services into one large district, the data for our specific district would not support this. Our residents would be negatively affected with the increased tax rate and negative debt that would occur in this process. Consolidation for some districts that do not have the resources or tax base available to them may be important. However, this decision making regarding the community impact on this topic should remain at the local level, as Illinois communities are not one size fits all. We hope that you will consider looking at options that school districts can be encouraged to participate in order to reduce through increased cooperative versus consolidation. Thank you for your time and work on this considerably important matter for all of our communities and students.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks very much.
Janice Matthews.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Simon and the Commission for holding this hearing. I'm Janice Matthews, Superintendent of Oak Grove School District 68 in Lake County. Our K-8 district of 871 students is located in one building. We are fortunate to have excellent teachers, involved parents, and engaged students. We offer art, music, drama, tech, daily PE, and we're planning elementary foreign language. Our test scores are good. We made AYP, and last year our district was chosen as number 3 in Lake County by the Chicago Magazine. Financially, our fund balance is very good. Our community was very alarmed last year when the governor announced his intention for school consolidation. Our district would prefer to remain an independent school district. Secondly, if we need to be consolidated, we want to consolidate voluntarily rather than being forced or split into several districts. Our entire community was worried, and this was not just our parent community, but residents without children in school. They started writing letters and attending meetings speaking against consolidation. We started a school consolidation blog that had over 5,000 hits in the first few weeks, and that blog actually won an INSPRA award for public relations communication. We appreciated when the consolidation process turned to be a study. Our school district has always looked for ways to save money. We are part of a special ed co-op, and we share paper purchasing with our neighboring districts. But I will admit that sharing personnel services never was on my radar screen until the consolidation scare happened. Last year, when our business managers resigned, we began a shared services arrangement for business services with the Libertyville School District 70. This is our neighboring district, elementary district. We share the same high school. Our children feed into the same high school. This arrangement was negotiated with ease since there is mutual respect between our school boards. With this arrangement, we both share the same experienced business manager. In addition, District 70 provides us with an on-site payroll manager. We save $50,000 annually with this arrangement, and District 70 used part of the payment from us to hire a director of buildings and grounds, freeing up the business manager to work with us. The shared services arrangement is monitored by a joint committee made up of members of both districts. We hope to add additional shared services as time progresses. This has proved to be a win-win for both districts. It is an idea that we could have implemented at any time, but we did so voluntarily because you raised our consciousness to this. So mostly I just want to know that your work has already affected us in a very positive way, but we have done this voluntarily, and I would think that this could happen throughout the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions? All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Jean Sophie.
Good afternoon. We would like to thank Lieutenant Governor Simon and the members of our Classrooms First Commission for the opportunity to briefly address you today regarding the serious issue of school consolidation and different ways of achieving educational excellence in our public schools and saving money. We have a few representatives today because this is an extremely serious issue in our community. So with us today, we've got two of our teaching staff. We've got one of our hardworking board members, a parent, and I would like to introduce you to Mr. Sampulia, who is the mayor of Westchester. And I'm going to let him conclude from my time today because the last point that we're going to talk about is the importance of a school district to the community. Briefly, I want to share that Westchester is also a mid-sized school district in West Cook. This is my 4th year as the superintendent in Westchester, 92 and a half. We have a primary, intermediate, and middle school, and we serve approximately 1,250 students. Again, very diverse. Some of our students feed into the Proviso Township High School District. The 2 points that I briefly want to go over that my colleagues have really done a good job is that we have continued each year to increase our test scores. We're very proud of that. We offer the finest of professional development for our teachers. We have a phenomenal teaching staff. And our test results now are showing that our Tier 3 students, those students that really need the most help, are achieving great success when we have them for 2 years or more in our school district. And this aligns with some of the work that's on the website, which it's an outstanding website, by the way, on the tiered approach article that you talked about, which generally concludes that smaller school districts can be more responsive to the needs of individual students. Our district is also in sound financial shape, thanks to the fiscal policies implemented by our school board, policies that reflect the value of our citizens in Westchester. We've had a balanced budget 6 out of the 7 past years. We have positive fund balances of about 40%. We have received the state board's highest recognition for financial status. Our tax rate has been 2.3% and has not been above 2.6 in the past 7 years. And we do participate in our efficiency efforts, mostly with the village, which is different than what you've heard today. We actually are in agreements for gasoline for our buses, salt for the winter, which we tend to use more of every year, paper, sharing of our facilities. We share town board meetings. And we are now similarly exploring agreements for phones and internet. We also have just joined the Educational Benefit Cooperative for health, life, and dental insurance, and we belong to LADSI, which is our special ed co-op. Without getting into too much many other facts, because I have a lot of the research that I've quoted from the website, which I'm sure you've already read, I want to hit upon our final point and then turn it over to our mayor. In Westchester, the phrase, "it takes a village to raise children," is truly, truly our motto. It's very hard to measure, but it's every bit as real as any test score or fund balance in this discussion. Schools are vital cogs in their communities, from being an economic engine to being a source of identity and community pride. That is why we believe that local control is so critically important in decisions involving school consolidation. It's not a decision that can easily be formatted into a formula involving enrollment numbers, test scores, and bank balances. I had a quote from our mayor. I'm going to let him continue with his quote and just share a couple of his comments. But I will conclude mine with saying, quoting from an NEC study, which says, "Avoid statewide mandates for consolidation and steer clear of minimum sizes for schools and districts." And I want to thank you myself and on behalf of our representatives from the district for being able to address you in this very, very important study. And I'll turn this over to our mayor.
Thank you, everybody. Again, my name is Sam Palia. I'm a lifelong resident of Westchester and actually attended the grammar schools that split up back in the day to the primary, intermediate, and the middle school concept. I'm now the mayor. I did sit on the school board for 13 years, 13 and a half, and I was board president for 11 years. And a lot of the initiatives that we passed and worked with the school district during that time of my tenure since 1991 are things that we certainly enjoy today. My profession is a police officer. I was a deputy chief of police while I sat on the board as board president. So you could imagine that every resource that was made available via the police department, whether it be DARE program or anything that we had to offer, was certainly offered at the school district and also the parochial schools as well in Westchester. Westchester is unique, as we're split between District 92 and 93, and God knows when that was split up. I can only tell you, as the sitting village president and a former board member, that I think consolidation will certainly, forced consolidation would certainly hurt the character of Westchester in bounds that are limitless. We enjoy a great relationship with our schools. Our schools are the reasons that people move into Westchester. You all know, District 209 and some of the issues they have at the Proviso West, Proviso East campus, and we're constantly struggling with those types of things with graduation rates. And I just toured 209 the other day at the behest of the superintendent and principal, and the feeder schools that feed into the district are having some difficulties getting those reading and math levels and scores up. And I think that if we're a forced consolidation, that the district that we enjoy right now will certainly be impacted, and the resources that we're going to have to put are certainly going to cause referendum rates for more costs, more teachers, more staff, and something that I think we have a handle on right now. So thank you for your time and your information as well.
Thank you. Any questions? All right. And thanks for the kind word about the website. And I should introduce Dr. Lynn Hafley, who's in charge of all the good information there.
Jim Ryland.
Lynn, I was going to bring you a yellow sign because you showed me a green sign, and that's not what I think I'm supposed to slow down. So I apologize for not remembering you today. I'm Jim Ryland, Superintendent of District 129 in West Aurora. We're a community, second largest city in the state, but we also represent North Aurora, Sugar Grove, and Montgomery. I appreciate this process. This isn't the same old times with respect to student learning, as we know from the OECD report for international learning with respect to how competitive we are as a nation. This isn't just the same old time with respect to being able to build facilities. most certainly our elected officials know this is not the same old time with respect to fiscal resources in this state, in our communities, or this nation. And it's certainly not the same old time with respect to what's going on in our community. We reflect some of the changes that are reflected in our community. I know are reflected in other communities in this state, but throughout this nation, and those challenges. I appreciate this open, transparent process, more rather than less of these type of processes. I'm sorry that this committee and its purpose and mission has been misunderstood for some reason with respect to forced consolidation, because it's going to get us off track. It's going to get us off track with a purpose you can have behind, and that is the improvement of student learning for all of our children in this state. And I think that is your purpose, and that is an opportunity for us to become effective and efficient with respect to all the resources in this state, because we certainly have that responsibility, and I know the elected officials on this committee have that with respect to your underlying motivation and interest. First of all, second of all, I'd like to suggest three things. First, consolidation. I would encourage us to look at the consolidation process. Does it reflect a future focus? Does it really reflect what we really need now with respect to student learning, with respect to assessing a school district with respect to student learning, facilities, financial security, financial safe, secure facilities, financial responsibility, and the community? As you know, they're all different in each of these communities, but there should be an assessment process by which you look at those four factors or use a framework by which you would like to be comfortable. But take a look at the process, take a look at those four components, and ask yourself, how are they doing? You have some wonderful organizations here. I know some of you. These organizations have very capable people, could help with that assessment process, could work with districts, multiple districts, and ask those questions, work together collaboratively with school boards and mayor, nice to see you, with municipalities. Second of all, I'd like to see us start talking about, instead of consolidation with respect to, we kind of make this too simple, so to speak, in terms of territory, our boundaries, my stuff, your stuff. Come on, let's talk about consolidation of function. You've heard wonderful examples of consolidation of function, whether it be transportation, whether it be joint services for differently abled students, which we do in our school district with the Hopewell facility, transport for East and West. I'd suggest some other areas. We believe you could have benefits with respect to benefits in this state. Costly for all of our school districts. Costly for municipalities, I would suggest to you, Mayor. We could do that across functions. In terms of function and benefits, take a look at multiple municipalities, multiple public entities, and we could work together. I haven't heard anything about energy. How could we take a look at energy across public entities, and you could even scale that up to the state level if you wanted to start talking about resources and saving in terms of those funds. We just bought some new valuations, financial software, savings of our school district, and the savings of 18 other school districts. Software licenses, technology. Some of the things sometimes I know people are already thinking about. You could scale that up in terms of multiple districts, but let's start talking about that as a state. What does the state bid list look like? What does the state look like? We've just done an analysis and a matrix of all the key functions. I looked at all of how we're spending our money, but all the key functions. And then I asked a question about, is this something we should be doing as a district, or if we get some effectiveness and efficiency with respect to doing with multiple districts? But also I asked, could we be doing this as a state? And you ought to look at this matrix, because there are so many things that really scale up for efficiency that we could all be doing together. We don't all have to be reinventing the wheel. We could be doing this together, even at a state level, to save taxpayer dollars and work together. And by the way, yes, Mayor, we should be thinking about that all public entities could benefit from that. Energy is only one example of that. And there's that green sign. Finally, we talk a lot about unfunded mandates. I would just suggest to you that finally that there's some things we could do positively. I'd like to see legislation that encourages us. Let's put some WD-40 into the process, shall we? And let's talk about some legislation that enables and encourages people to do some of the wonderful things you've already heard. There's multiple examples in terms of whether it be teaching, learning, safe, secure facilities, financial responsibility, or community involvement and sharing in terms of these limited resources. Let's have legislation that gets rid of these barriers. Let's have legislation that encourages those people who are willing to step up. You've heard many examples. And let's have a process by which people are enabled, not disabled. We just recently got one of those emails, Senator Holmes, about Senate Bill 1865, saying it's going to discourage pooling. I don't know a lot about 1865, but that wouldn't be an example of what we wouldn't want. We'd want to encourage those kinds of things and that kind of thinking. With that, thanks so much. Thanks for your time. We appreciate you, and we need to work together, and we know that because we know many of you, and bottom line, you care very much for children in this state. We all do, and let's work together more rather than less. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Questions? Yes. Please don't
So-
sit down. We've got a question for you.
It's okay, Jim. And Jim, thank you, and thank you for your passion and even the call to arms in terms of some of the things that can be done in terms of efficiency.
You know, Michael, you and I both know there are a lot of people who are very passionate about children in this state, and I'm pleased to see the mayors are too. Doesn't surprise me, Mayor Tom Weisner is. So I just say let's get it focused.
And you know, I was just actually trying to look up in my little iPad here to see if West Aurora was a part of the Illinois Energy Consortium. I think you guys are, and that's just one example. And I think
Exactly.
you're participating at
Right.
a level that we'd like to see many districts do in terms of statewide pools in that regard. And I love the fact that you mentioned the Senate bill, which would reduce the opportunity on insurance pools, and we would definitely want to see those opportunities increase, not decrease, as a result of this kind of conversation.
Yeah, Michael, what we learned, we're about a third of the, what I call a third of the action. Sorry for my glibness here, but in terms of our software, financial software, we're 12,400 students. We're about a third of that 18 district group. But look at the benefit for all districts, some very small districts, quite frankly, from my perspective, you know, because we're at 12,400. But the benefit, the things they were able to get because we work together. And you know many of those examples. I'd say let's get a list. Let's take a look at how we can do it. And there's some wonderful examples. I've been with you a couple of days now. Let's get the list going, and let's get it shared. And let's, there are a lot of people that really pile on to those efforts. So great example. So thank you. Senator Holmes. Representative Chapel-Lavia and Senator Holmes represent us and do that very well, so thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much, Jimmy. You make me proud to represent Aurora with how well you came out here and spoke. But I want to say, I mean, when I had become a member of this commission, the one thing I had to do was obviously say that I was going to listen to all of this with an open mind with school consolidation. Whereas my whole thought in the first place was if we all as a body ended up thinking school consolidation was the answer, instead of mandating it, we should certainly offer incentives to those districts and those communities that wanted to do so. I did not want to see another mandate on anything. So I just want to say thank you for speaking of that. But I've been so impressed today with what we've heard, because I think my focus was a little more narrow in thinking about, you know, working with other school districts. And when we heard the mayor, and again, when you spoke, I think we do need to be broader in thinking if we are going to consolidate functions in order to be more efficient, working with our municipalities an absolute excellent idea. So I want to thank you all for bringing that up and helping to educate me so that I can better serve you.
Yeah, Senator Holmes, I'd say that, you know, in our community, we're thinking about all of our public facilities, not some. We're thinking about where students can learn. I personally like the Apple notion of learn anything, anytime, anywhere. That's how we need to think about it, because we're not going to be able to build just, quote, schools, but get beyond that, start thinking about all of our public entities. We have public officials in the city, as you well know, and our multiple cities that are very open to that. And again, pleased to see the mayors here. That's the way we have to think. So I appreciate it, and appreciate your leadership and Representative Chapel-Lavia. Thank you.
Okay. Jonathan, you had a question? Looks like you have one more question.
I apologize.
No,
I took those signs very seriously. So.
Thanks again for those comments, and that I think you've addressed some of the questions I was asking of some of the other speakers earlier about looking for the opportunities here. And I just want to make sure that you're going to share that functional matrix that you talked about, so that everyone on the commission can
We'd
get
be
that.
happy to. And I believe you represent parents. By the way, I think there's a lot of things we could do for parents cross-district. We're already doing some of those things now. In an age of diversity, you know, you really to rely on some key people who really have a good background, for example, in diversity. And we have some great examples in our community, and Representative Chapel-Lavia has talked about how we could do that as a community rather than as a school district. So I think there's a number of things we do even in the parent area. So, and we will share that. I'd only add is we're going to provide Senator Holmes and Representative Chapel-Lavia. We just did what we call a income gradient, GIS income gradient map of our community, 4 districts, East Aurora, West Aurora, Oswego, and Indian Prairie 204. And what that gradient map looks like is it shows a number of things, all the schools, and what we're doing is an income gradient map, but with the districts. But we're talking about how we look as a community. Just for your information, I also have a GIS map of the state of Illinois, because I'd like to know where the LUTA districts are, where all the districts are, and I've also looked at that in terms of elementary and secondary with respect to that. And we're also going to do an income gradient map just to take a look at how the state looks. I'm going to do a 5-year look back on a gradient map for our community and see what's happened with our community over time. I just encourage this commission to take a look at data, take a look at the state in terms of data on multiple factors, and I think GIS can provide a real excellent example of some of those things, just to help better understand communities, how we're changing as a state. So,
Okay, thank you.
All right, we have 2 speakers in the next slot, Frank Patrick and Helen Jarasek.
Hi, my name is Helen Jarasek. I am the Secretary of the Willow Springs School District 108 School Board. We appreciate the opportunity that you are providing to us today. Willow Springs School District is a school district serving approximately 300 students in South Suburban Cook County. The Willow Springs School District 108 Board of Education believes that education is a local matter to be decided locally, especially when it's funded locally. Every child deserves a quality education, and Willow Springs School District is very successful in doing so. It knows how to best manage the needs of the local community because it is managed by the members who understand and reflect that local community.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Frank Patrick. I'm the superintendent at Willow Springs 108. And we understand the goals of the commission to be twofold: improving educational opportunities for students by seeking efficient use of resources, often across districts, to make more resources available for direct services to children. Based upon our experience, we offer Willow Springs School District 108 as a prototype of what the Classrooms First Commission is seeking to establish. We have an efficient use of our resources. Almost 87% of our income comes from local funding. We have very little business, so we rely heavily upon our residents. 8.1% of our income comes from the state, and 5.1% is federal funding. Willow Springs School District 108 manages its finances prudently. It is annually recognized for its fiscal management by receiving the State Board Certificate of Financial Recognition. Our budget has been balanced for at least the past 5 years. The district has maintained a healthy fund balance, which is crucial to maintain cash flow, as the Cook County Treasurer does not send tax bills out in a timely manner. The district is paying off bonds which were approved by local referendum in 2004 for a major construction project. The district spends less per pupil than the state average in both instructional and operating expenditures. And our prudence and our resources pay off for our students. Historically, Willow Springs School District 108 has about 50% of our students who receive free and reduced lunch. Our mobility rate is 2% higher than the state average. Yet with all this, last year, 90.3% of our students met or exceeded the Illinois State Learning Standards. That's 8.3% above the state average. Because of our size, we have only one subgroup, economically disadvantaged students. According to our AYP report, the gap between our subgroup and the whole is only 3.8. That's nearly insignificant. On average, economically disadvantaged students meet or exceed the Illinois Learning Standards at a higher rate than the state average, 12.97% greater. Therefore, District 108 is closing the achievement gap between economically disadvantaged students and those not economically disadvantaged at a greater rate than the state average. We also provide a well-rounded educational program for our students that goes beyond the 3 R's. It includes music, PE, foreign language, and applied technology curriculum. In order to best meet our student needs, we have sought and continue to seek shared services across school districts. We're a member of the Arrow Special Ed Cooperative to meet the needs of low-incidence special ed students. With Argo Community High School 217,
We are able to grant high school credit to our students who pass algebra. We are able to grant high school credit to our students who pass Spanish. We also have been privileged to enroll our very high-performing math students directly at Argo for math that's more advanced than freshman algebra. We purchase our meals daily through Indian Springs School District 109. We're a member of the Educational Benefits Cooperative for employee insurance benefits. We purchase our paper and milk through the Lyons Township Consortium, and we also are members of the IEC for electricity and natural gas. I see the sign. In summary, our excellent record in both student achievement and fiscal responsibility, we don't see how our students would be positively impacted by forced consolidation. We enjoy small class sizes, meet AYP, and have a nearly insignificant gap in achievement. We actively sought and continue to seek sharing resources across districts where it makes sense educationally and fiscally. Again, based upon our long-established track record, we offer ourselves, Willow Springs School District 108, as a prototype for the Commission. Thank you again for this opportunity to address you this afternoon.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
You mentioned something in passing, which I think we would only hear at this commission hearing, about the taxes, about how much is contributed locally, but also about the Cook County problem. Could you mention that for the benefit of the people on the commission who aren't familiar with how that tax bill goes out, which is different than in the other 102 counties?
I'll do my best. In Cook County, of course, you know, like everywhere else, we pass our levy in December, and it goes to the Cook County Treasurer's Office. And historically, over the past several years, while that bill is supposed to go out to residents in the month of August, last year it went out December 1st. You know, this year it went out, I believe, was it October 1st? You know, this puts considerable strain upon districts with their cash flow. You know, forcing some districts to go out and get tax warrants in order to make payroll and driving costs up.
Thank you. Other questions? No? All right. Thank you very much.
All right, we have 3 people speaking together in the next group. We have Troy Paraday, Daryl Taylor, and Celia Heiberger.
Lieutenant Governor Simon and other members of the First Commission, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity to speak before you. I'm Troy Paraday. I'm Superintendent, Business Manager, Transportation Director, Director of Technology, and I also assist with dismissal. So thank you for scheduling this on a rainy day. I'd like to draw your attention to a white folder many of you have on this side. There's a number of them here. If you please pass them around. We've put some information together we'd like to bring to your attention. We'd like to present the most current data to the Classroom First Commission on school consolidation. Members of the South Cook area reviewed teacher and administrative salaries, per pupil expenditures in the areas of instruction and operations. All this data is the most recent data, which was released on Monday through the school report cards. We'll provide you the graphs in there that show you that consolidation, we're not against it, but we believe there are a number of things that need to be considered prior to making just a mandate. Consolidation can be appropriate if avenue for some districts as long as it's voluntarily, and all other aspects as financial are included. First of all, in the charts, there is a red line, which is the state average. For your benefit, we have shown you green bars and blue bars. The green bars are those schools where you are below the state average. The blue bars, they are above state average. In most elementary districts in the South Cook area, the teaching and administrative salaries are below the state average. High school, they are above. The data indicates that South Cook elementary teachers fall below the state average, while the high school teacher salaries are above. This difference may be attributed to the high school teacher specialization versus an elementary teacher generalization. This is not to say it's equitable, but it's just one of the things we have to deal with. The data also includes elementary administrative salaries fall below the state average, and high school administrative salaries are above the state average. The committee preparing this report suggests this differential is due to the numerous supervisions that occur outside the school day. Instructional expenses per pupil. For most elementary districts, the instructional expenses per pupil are below the state average. At the high school, the instructional expenses per pupil are above the state average. However, operational expenses are below state averages in elementary, and also in the high schools they are above. The one chart we really want to bring to your attention is the percentage of instructional dollars in many of the elementaries and the high school districts exceed or are very close to the state average. This is the amount of money that's being put into the classrooms for the education of children. When a comparison is made between the instructional dollars and the operational dollars, these numbers seem to indicate both building operations and transportation costs are being contained very well. It is noted, however, the operational expenses can spike, and this is due to an anomaly, such as a major building project or some type of construction project that may be occurring in a district. The goal of the consolidation, as expressed by the members of the Illinois Legislature and Lieutenant Governor Simon, is to promote efficiency and cost savings of school districts. Consideration must be given to the additional costs incurred due to the disparity in salaries when consolidating elementary and high school districts. This perceived cost savings generated by having less administrators would be eliminated due to the increases in costs to the higher salaries that have to be met. My other colleagues who are going to follow me will also provide some information as to what those types of costs may be.
I'm going to apologize for saying you're 6'7", you sat down this long, things go to sleep. So if there's a little jumping around, please don't let that surprise you at all. I'm just trying to get limber again. You have heard a lot of information from individuals today, and I don't necessarily want to repeat some of those same issues. We have put together, as you see on those charts, some very concrete objective data that you can make your decisions by. My opportunity to speak today is going to be more along the lines of I've been very fortunate to have the experience to teach in Rock Island County in a unit district, as we're talking about consolidation, probably one of the second largest unit districts in Rock Island. And that's a rural, very urban area. Also, I've been having the very fortunate opportunity to teach in, work in Coles County with Mr. Yetis. I don't know if you remember me or not, in Charleston, but again, one of the largest unit districts in Coles County. And now I'm very fortunate to be in an elementary district. So I'm speaking firsthand about the different opportunities and how it looks in a unit district, in an urban area, rural area, and then now in the South Cook region where most of our schools are middle-sized primary districts. And what I want to share with you is we're talking about moving from a elementary district to a unit district. You've got to understand, you've heard before, that the high school is what drives. That's not a knock, but most of the high school needs is what's driving what's being done in those districts. When we have the elementary district the way they're set up currently, we're focusing our funds, our interests, directly on what are the needs of those primary age kids. At the same time, we believe that in a unit district some of the benefits could be that you've got that articulation. You've heard time after time. We have that articulation. And in the South Cook region, in Calumet City where I'm at, we're meeting once a month with our high school superintendent and talking about looking at the SIS data. How well are our kids performing? Talking about services, talking about professional development. So those things are in place. But if you move, and by the way, Dr. Paraday said he was the one person doing these things. Well, I am the superintendent. I am the business manager. I am the human resource person. And up until this past year, I was also the curriculum person. So in our 3 districts we're talking about, he and I are wearing 3 and 4 hats. In the other district, I believe they have only 2 individuals in central office. If you merge all of Calumet City as an example into a unit district, the 3 elementaries, and then the 1 high school that we feed into, currently we have 5 administrators in the central office in 3 elementaries, and I don't know how many exactly are in the high school district. But if you put those together, you're going to have not only a superintendent, but you're going to have someone directly responsible for secondary education and then primary education, a grants person. You're not going to just have one business manager, but you're going to probably have someone who's going to help that business manager to do accounts payables and things of that nature. We're talking about, and the question was asked, the efficiency of the salaries of superintendents. Well, if you merge such a larger district, I believe you're going to have very equitable salaries for those other central office individuals in those larger unit districts who are going to help to make sure the functions of the unit district is going to be effective in nature. So I want you to understand some of those type of things firsthand from my experiences, that if we are beginning to look at a unit district, it's not just a matter of losing the salaries, it's a matter of you're going to need more individuals to actually do those jobs that, in most cases, one of us are doing, 3 and 4 positions. That's all I have.
Yeah, I'm 5'1", and I got to go after him. I'm sorry. First of all, thank you for giving us this time. I'm here just to wrap up for my fellow superintendents here in the South Cook area. We feel that consolidation is not just the combining of districts and services in order to cut personnel and save dollars, and we respectfully ask that the panel consider some of those unanticipated costs that my fellow superintendents had referred to, including curriculum, personnel, facilities, and transportation, and possibly looking at board structures, and they may change, moving from a 7-member board to a 9-member board in order to accommodate representation. What I heard earlier were some of the what districts are doing to increase efficiencies, and we felt we wanted to share with you what we do in the South Cook area. We share the services of a township treasurer. We also maintain the articulation, as Dr. Taylor referred to. South Cook members do belong to the Special Education Joint Agreements, ECHO, SPEED, that provide cost-effective services for our special needs students through the pooling of our resources. Many of us participate in the bulk purchasing through the South Suburban Business Officials Consortium, resulting in cost savings for us. We purchase our natural gas and electricity through the Illinois Energy Consortium. South Cook districts are also members of the Casualty Liability Insurance Cooperative, a cost-effective insurance pool known as CLIC. And all of our 66 South Cook member districts, we share the services of the Intermediate Service Center for, including, as was mentioned earlier, the certification checks, background checks, substitutes, life safety, RESPRO, professional development, and truancy. The data that we have provided to you, we feel it does not support forced consolidation or that larger schools increase or lead to increased student achievement. Voluntary consolidation may prove to be beneficial for some districts. However, thoughtful consideration must be given to the unanticipated costs that were previously mentioned, as well as local tax rates, the amount of debt a district incurs, and union contracts. Local control is the most essential element in public school education, since the citizens of a community provide the majority of funding for their schools. We recognize the governor's efforts to save money by consolidating 868 districts into 300 and eliminating administrators in order to improve efficiency. However, it simply ends, in our opinion, one problem and creates a multitude of others, when the real issue, we feel, is the disparity in funding. We just question if the goals of consolidation truly put the needs of children first. Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
questions?
Questions? All right. No, thanks very much.
We have 4 speakers left on the list, and if anyone has been sitting here and decided they want to speak, if you want to meet me in the back of the room, we can take your name down. Our next speaker now is Dr. Prentice Lee.
Good afternoon. My name is Prentice Lee, and I'm the superintendent at Community High School District 128, which is Libertyville and Vernon Hills High School in Lake County. And our district has 2 high schools of 3,400 students combined. And our feeder elementary districts are Oak Grove 68, Libertyville District 70, Rondout District 72, and Vernon Hills District 73. And they are great partners with our district and work well with us in educating our young people. First, I'd like to thank the Commission for hearing all of us today. Today should be a celebration because democracy has worked in this process. I wish for all of us in this room and all of you sitting here today that we had had these conversations last spring instead of taking the time and energy that we had to expend in trying to work through the original HB 1216. That time would have been much better served and took us off focus from the important work that we do with our children. So I think this is great modeling for all of our kids and our schools that democracy does work when our communities engage in the process. So thank you again for hearing us today. Our district was one of the first districts in the state where our school board actually created a position statement on school consolidation. And our position was very clear from day one, and that is our district is financially stable. We receive a very low percentage of state aid in terms of our overall budget, and we have among the highest student achievement in not only in Illinois, in the entire United States. And to us, the issue of school consolidation is a local control issue. Can the state better tell our local constituency how to operate a highly effective and efficient school district that produces outstanding student achievement? We think the answer is no, they can't. As part of our process of working through school consolidation, we created a study group that included former Superintendent Dr. David Clough and one of our school board members who served for 10 years with distinction on the Oak Grove 68 board and has served on our board for 6 years. And we looked at 9 high priority categories that needed to be addressed and assessed if consolidation was going to happen, including the areas of finance, curriculum and instruction, technology, facilities, services, and as one of our colleagues stated earlier, focus on age groups of kids. And in our case, that would be at the high school level. One of the things that hasn't been mentioned today that I think it's very important for the Commission to know is the work that our local school boards do with administrators and community in the area of school finance. In our case, in our district, our board has created what we believe is a cutting-edge 10-year rolling long-range financial plan, which allows us to pinpoint accurately revenues and costs to make our decisions that are tied directly to our district strategic plan and our school improvement plans. In those discussions, our board spends the majority of its time together discussing tax levy and our budget. And I think it's important for our citizens to know that our locally elected officials are doing their job in terms of looking at school finance. For shared services and efficiencies in our district, much like some of the previous speakers, we are members of the Lake County Tech School. We're members of the CEDAL Special Ed Cooperative. We have a joint transportation arrangement with several of our other districts. We co-op our health insurance in NIHIP. We use a trainer professional development model within our district where we send key people out to experience professional development and then bring that back and train our teachers internally. We share facilities with our local municipalities and park districts. In our districts, we could not run our 2 high school athletic programs without sharing services with our main 2 villages and the related park districts. We also share facility improvement efforts. For example, thank you. For example, at Libertyville High School, we needed to replace the auditorium seats. We partnered with a community group who picked up half the cost of the auditorium seats. We are in the process of putting multi-purpose turf on one of the high school's fields so we can use that year-round. And a community group is raising money for half of that project. In addition, we share costs for our police resource officers with our village, and it comes down as small as this, or as micro as this. We made a decision through a cost reduction task force 2 years ago to close our buildings in the districts in the summers beginning on Thursday after school. That saved the district $35,000 the first summer we did that, and that idea came from one of our staff members. And finally, I think the most important thing about working together and continuing to share is our PK-12 articulation, because that truly is the bottom line of our work together. So in concluding very quickly, I would encourage the Commission to define a consolidation criteria in which districts may benefit from consolidation and then develop appropriate incentives to encourage consolidation as needed. And I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay. And I think, if I could interrupt you, sorry, Crystal, that we were scheduled to go to 5 today, right? And it is just about 5, so if anyone needs to excuse themselves now, you can leave without feeling guilty at all. Commission members, audience members, just want to give everyone permission to do that, but we're going to stick around and listen to everyone. At least I am.
Jim Prather.
Usually people wait for me to speak before they leave, but it's understandable.
Sorry, Jim.
That's okay. My name is Jim Prather. I'm superintendent at Road School District in River Grove, Illinois, which is just off 290 to the north. My experiences have been predominantly in administration of smaller school districts of less than 1,000. In addition to River Grove area, I've been in Salmonock, which is north of Interstate 80 and south of 88, and I've been in Gardner, which is just off 55. So all those school districts are less than 1,000 kids. So I've had a lot of experiences in small school districts. And today I want to talk about some of the practical financial aspects of working in those districts, some things that people outside of education or those in larger districts may not know what's going on in the small districts when it comes to efficiencies. So I just have a simple list, and I'll go through it as quickly as I can. For educational services, when I was in Salmonock, we co-opted the high school and in Leland High School for AP advanced classes. We sent them our chemistry kids, they sent us their physics kids. So we couldn't afford it on our own, we co-opted. 8th grade algebra. Our 8th grade algebra kids, when I was in Gardner High School, took our 8th grade algebra kids, plus Braceville and South Wilmington, 2 other small communities. That separately we couldn't do it, we did it together. Shared music and special education staffs between Gardner Grade School, Gardner High School, Wilmington, and Braceville again. Special ed, as you've heard, a lot of special education co-ops that occurred. We actually had our own special education teacher that I took other buildings, other school districts, kids over to. So we pulled away from the co-op because it was more cost effective to do our own instead of using co-op for all the programs. In my current district, we're looking at technological types of partnerships with the other Leiden area school districts. Educational supplies. When I was in Grundy County, the ROE was ordering the paper so all the school districts would get a better rate. Administrative services. A school district next to mine in Gardner, Dwight, had the high school and the elementary, 2 separate districts, shared a common superintendent. Instead of having one of their own, they shared the services and saved 50%. Business manager split. Gardner High School and the vocational center in Gardner shared a business manager. The ROE, when they would do notices like prevailing wage acts, they'd ask all the school districts, do you want to help pay for it? So instead of each of us doing our own prevailing wage act in the newspaper, we partnered together and had one cost. Transportation services. When I was in Gardner, the high school, the grade school, South Wilmington, and Braceville, we came together and hired one bus company and got a better rate because of that. My current school district, our buses are used for us an early start, and then River Grove pays for services from our bus drivers and buses to run their routes. And then extracurricular. When I was in Gardner, Braceville, South Wilmington, we co-op sports together. The high school would allow the other schools to use the gym as needed at no charge. Currently, when I'm in River Grove, we have the softball fields that we give free access to River Grove Community Recreation League. We're partnerships in a number of different insurance co-ops. EBC, IEC for energy, CLIC. So a lot of the efficiencies that this commission wants to talk about, a lot of them are already being done, but I think they're not being heard about. And I think that IASBO, IASA, that would be a great tool to provide professional development to tell us about it, because we don't know what we don't know. So unless I was in those small school districts, I'd have no idea those things are going on. So I think it's more about informing people what's going on versus telling them what they have to do. Because the state isn't coming through on their end for finances, so we have to be creative and come up with ways of saving money if we want to stay a school district. So I think informing us of what options are out there versus telling us is the way to go. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Yes.
What's your sense of how common those practices are outside of the districts where you've worked? And when you talk to your colleagues, is that something that happens predominantly, or is it just pockets of creativity?
That's what I think. I think it's based on the need that arises. And when the financial constraints kick in, then you get creative. but that's because you never had to think about it before. So in a way, when the state doesn't come through on their finances, they're motivating us to find ways to survive. So I don't want to compliment on the state on that, but it's a reality that it forces us to think on our feet.
I might just make a comment because I think it's fitting that Jim brought this up. But last year we partnered with Senator Garrett in rewriting her bill on shared services, and all districts at the end of fiscal 12 in your AFR will be identifying the current shared services you're participating in. That will be aggregated at the ROE level, and it'll be a great opportunity on a positive way to say, here are some of the things that are happening, and perhaps asking the question at the local level, am I doing those things? For this commission, we just put out a survey yesterday to all districts in Illinois to begin collecting some of that shared service information so we can give some reports back to the commission in November. So for everybody who's here, please fill that out for us so we can aggregate that together. That'd be great.
And ultimately, I think the problem is that the people in Springfield are experts in a lot of things, but not everything. And sometimes we go back to, well, I was a student one time, I was a parent, I had kids in school, I know about education. The reality is, you know this much because you don't live it day to day. We live it day to day, and I appreciate the chance to express our opinions so that you understand what we're seeing, and hopefully it makes you more knowledgeable about what we do.
Okay, thanks very much.
All right, we have 3 speakers left. Dane Cooney is next.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor and the Commission, for this opportunity to speak before you, and thank you for your time. I know that's very important. My name is Dane Cooney. I'm School Board President for School District 48. We're a small district in DuPage County. We represent 4 communities: Elmhurst, Villa Park, Oak Brook, and Oak Brook Terrace. We have about 540 students, and I just want to tell you a little about our district. We meet AYP in all areas, and we are fiscally sound. We have one of the lowest tax rates in the state. I believe we're the 3rd lowest, and we are a flat grant district receiving little funds from the state. We've also made significant changes to our district to remain solvent over the years. Our residents have total control over our schools, and they know their tax dollars are being efficiently managed for their neighborhood schools. The student population is highly diverse, and we have 26% low income, and those numbers are going up every year. We have strong relationship with surrounding districts and the high school district we prepare our students to attend. We even track our progress of our students once they go to high school to continually assess how well that we are preparing them for that. We practice a number of shared services, one example being we house a special education co-op in our buildings. It provides us with some rent money and efficiencies, and there's considerable cost savings for us and surrounding districts. We also have the other co-ops, energy partnerships with park districts, and the list goes on. You know, when dollars get tight, you become very creative, and we're no exception to that. We know our district is highly efficient and effective at educating our students, and we work every day to try to improve that. We also know that research supports what our experiences have been, that low-income students, which is 26% for us, for them, that a strong negative correlation exists between district size and the student achievement. Smaller schools show lower dropout rates and higher education, or graduation rates. Student achievement is equal or better in smaller schools. While curriculum varies, increases in larger school districts, curriculum quality does not. And students at larger schools are more polarized with larger groups, not participating in extracurriculars. And I got to say, our student body is very active. We have a lot of after-school activities and a lot of clubs and other activities for them to participate, and almost every student is involved in some form of activity, which we are proud of. Just to summarize, you know, we try to be very efficient, and we provide. We stand for our children, our taxpayers, and our parents in providing the most efficient education possible. We continually strive to provide every opportunity or educational opportunity for them, and I just want to thank you for this opportunity to speak to the commission.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Marianne Brown. No, Marianne? Last call? Okay. Mary Forston is our last speaker.
After listening to the various testimony from around the room, I finally got up the courage to get up here, and perhaps offer you a flip side. You've been hearing a lot about small districts today and the impact of consolidation on those districts. And yes, finding efficiencies and shared services is something we all want. But I'm here to offer you a personal experience. My kids attended Morton West High School in Berwyn. It's part of J. Sterling Morton High School District 201. It serves 8,400 students right now, give or take, because our mobility rate is so high. You never know who's coming in and out of the district on a single month. We're a very diverse population, 65% poverty level. We serve the communities of Cicero, Berwyn, Forest View, Stickney, and Lyons. We're divided between the Berwyn Township area and the Lyons Township area. I'm a parent. I come from a family of educators, and I took an interest in school finance and the challenges of our public school districts back in 2001 when I moved to Stickney. At the time, our local elementary school district 103 in Lyons was undergoing great changes, as I found out our whole area was. We were losing the manufacturing jobs that had been the staple that provided so many good paying jobs for the families in our community. And I can say now, in my neighborhood, I have 4 abandoned homes due to foreclosures. That's a challenge to our district financially. I got to tell you, 8,400 kids, and we spend roughly $10,615 per student. I've seen my property taxes increase, but I definitely feel like the value of what I'm getting for them is not where it should be. For instance, in order to finally balance the budget, we've got a superintendent that's kicking butt. He's come in and made changes. He's weeded out some staff members, both certified and non-certified, that were growing lax, maybe in their later years towards retirement. And we've got an infusion of young, enthusiastic educators with a fire in their belly, which I'm grateful for. But as a cautionary tale on consolidation and the effects that it could have on a community, we used to have 2 athletic programs way back when, before I even moved into the community. There was the Morton West athletic program and the Morton East, the Falcons versus the Mustangs. Well, now we're just the Mustangs. And just a personal example to give you what happens. My son went out for freshman baseball 2 years ago. Over 250 boys went out for that team. Only 13 could make it. I know a lot of people think social Darwinism is great, the survival of the fittest. But that resulted in a lack of opportunity for a whole bunch of boys that could have used that extracurricular activity to help inspire them to get through the day and succeed. Fortunately, my son made the team that year. He didn't make it last year, though. The other thing that I wanted to mention on the downside of consolidation and having to balance the budget because of what's coming down from Springfield and the federal government, we laid off 343 teachers from District 201 last year. They had to rearrange the bell schedule to cut out 1 class period. So we still have the same length of day, but we only have 6 periods now. I kind of like that there's more time in math class. You know, I personally agree with that, but the kids who wanted those AP classes to help them get into Ivy League schools aren't getting them. Because if you don't have enough kids for those AP classes, they couldn't hire another teacher for a small class. So we're constantly hearing complaints at board meetings, at PTO meetings, from the parents of those college-bound kids complaining, when are we going to have the return of AP classes? And I got to tell you, quite frankly, just because you're in a district that's poor doesn't mean you can't get a good education. There are instructors, there are educators there who put in that extra time, who stay late all the time. We've had kids from Morton West get accepted at Yale and Harvard and MIT. Unfortunately, a lot of those kids, their families couldn't even come up with the airfare to get them to the college to visit. So, cautionary tale, please consider that bigger is not always better. We thwarted that last March with all of our efforts and our phone calls to our legislators. And educate the public in terms that are not all edu-speak, edu-lingo. So thank you very much. Thank you for this panel for serving. Thank you for allowing me, a little old parent, to have my say. Thank you.
Okay. Questions? All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for speaking. And let me just point out that we do have a survey on our website that if you have great ideas that you thought of after you've already spoken, we'd still like to hear those from you. Thanks for your participation.
Yes, even if you're not doing them yet.
Exactly.